Is the Montreal Underground City actually worth visiting? Today we'll be visiting the Underground City to take a look at some of the best spots and to figure out if it really is worth it to spend your precious time exploring it. So first thing first, what is it and how do we get there? It might not be apparent at street level, but under the busy streets and skyscrapers of downtown Montreal are over 33 kilometers of underground pedestrian pathways that branch out in all directions. Before this hotel and office complex were built, there used to be trains and rails just sitting out in the open air. Having such a gap was a big waste of valuable land, so CN Rail, the owners of the land, came up with the idea to build over the rail yard. In 1962, Vincent Pond, the urban planner in charge of the project, decided to connect the new hotel and office complex to the central station through underground paths. But that's enough history for today. Known locally as RESO or le Montreal Souterrain, this network connects just about everything. We're talking about shopping malls, hotels, condos, universities, offices, museums, and so much more. If you're staying downtown, getting there is pretty easy, but not always obvious. There are well over 120 entrances to the underground city spread out around town. If you're lucky, there will be this stylized logo that indicates an access point, but most of the time you just have to base yourself on this vague map provided by the city, which I've linked down below, and just explore. The underground city is huge. Let's be honest, you won't be exploring it all in a day. Depending on where you're staying, I recommend accessing it by one of three main points: Complexe Desjardins in the east, Windsor Station if you're out west, or Place Ville if you're more central. So let's go check it out. Now let's talk about why you might want to explore it. There are three key reasons. Reason number one, the weather. Montreal is a city that has four very distinct seasons, with hot and humid summers and frozen ice-cold winters. Going into the underground city is a great way to see some of the city without ever stepping foot outside. And believe me, there are times when that is best. As a tourist, if you're staying in a hotel directly connected to the underground city, you can explore parts of downtown without ever stepping foot outside. So keep that in mind when reserving your hotel room to ask if there is a direct connection to the underground city. These are the stairs to the underground located at the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth Hotel, a great option really. It's located right above Central Station, which is the heart of the underground network. You're also on top of a metro station if ever you want to explore beyond downtown. There's also Bonnaventure Hotel, which has a nice rooftop garden and pool, as well as the Marriot Chateau Champlain close by that have great connections to the underground and public transportation. Fun fact, this Marriott is also known in some circles as the cheese grater. I guess you can see why. If you are staying more to the east, you can try booking at the DoubleTree by Hilton, which is connected to Complexe Desjardins, or the InterContinental Hotel next to the Congress Center. So two hotels with great access to the underground RESO. I've linked some hotels with direct access to the underground city in the description. Reason number two, shopping and entertainment. From high-end stores to local boutiques, the underground city has something for everyone. The majority of the shops are either clothing, shoes, or electronic stores, but really there is everything you can imagine. Most of the big shopping malls are connected to the underground city, with some hidden gems along the way. There really is an interesting variety of products and services, as well as the size of shops. There are also many entertainment options connected to the underground. You can visit museums and expos, art galleries, arcades, cinemas, and more. The section located near Place des Arts gives you access to many theaters that host musicals and plays all year long. There are many services as well, like salons and barbershops, clinics, pharmacies, and more. If you're the type of tourist who loves to shop, I suggest you start off at Place Ville. This is, in my opinion, the easiest section of the underground city to explore and offers the best shopping experience. From there you can access 7 interconnected shopping centers, big box stores, food courts, and gourmet restaurants. Which brings us to our next point. Reason number 3, food options. Besides transportation, food is probably the most common reason why locals go into the underground. Think of it as the equivalent of the New York City food carts, so it's super convenient and accessible. Oftentimes just an elevator ride down from your office to be right in the underground. There are infinite fast food options, everything from classic poutine to sushi. If you're looking for other options than fast food, Time Out Market on the second floor of the Eaton Centre is a really great option. At this food court, you can try out a bunch of local restaurants. One of my favorites, Marriot, has a really delicious vegetable curry. There are so many food courts, so finding a place to eat is going to be the easiest thing to do. Some are big and popular, others not so much, but if you ask me, I still prefer going to eat at a restaurant above ground. Now, before you grab your shoes and head down, there are a few things to consider. While it's an interesting experience, it can feel a bit repetitive. Lots of shops and similar looking corridors. If you're looking for authentic local culture, you might want to balance your visit with more time spent above ground rather than below. The main problem with all of this is that it is commonly referred to as the Underground City. A great name for marketing purposes, but the reality is that it is not a city. No one actually lives down there. As mentioned before, the real name of the Montreal Underground City is RESO, which means network in French. I recommend that you approach it with that mindset. It is a network for convenience for office workers rather than an actual destination. It definitely can be a time saver in some instances, but in general it takes longer to get around through the underground than just walking on the street. Also, all of the interesting places it leads to are accessible at street level. Unless you want to go to the metro, you never have to enter the underground network to get to places. If you want to explore, I recommend that you visit during office hours, so 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, because that's when the underground network is most lively. On weekends and evenings, some parts can become ghost towns, and who wants to explore that? Another thing to keep in mind is that the RESO can be extremely confusing to navigate if you don't know where you're going. Although it gives the impression that it's this master-planned network, the reality is that it's a patchwork of systems maintained and developed by a bunch of different players, some private, some public, who don't always coordinate together. That means that things like wayfinding signage and opening hours can vary greatly. I recommend that you plan your adventure as much as possible, but keep in mind that not all sections are wheelchair accessible, and they might be a little difficult for elderly people to navigate. So is the Montreal Underground City worth visiting? I'm going to say yes, especially if you're here in the winter, or want to shop and dine without braving the elements, or if you're staying at a hotel with access close by and want to take advantage of the convenience. The majority of Google reviews are positive, with a score of 4.3 stars and almost 4,000 reviews, but a lot of people are confusing the actual network with the destinations it leads to. Don't make that mistake. Approaching it all with the appropriate expectations will make for a better experience. If you've decided that you will be visiting the underground, I recommend that you balance your visit with time spent above ground on the vibrant streets of downtown Montreal as well. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Montreal travel tips. Comment below if you've been to the Underground City and what your experience was like. And if you have any suggestions for tours, share them as well. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. If you want to see what it's like walking through the Montreal Underground, check out this walking tour that we filmed next.